So you see this mess in front of me. I had a friend bring over a Sundown sia-3500d, and he was having something rewired or something. I don't know. Don't ask me questions. I know zero much about amplifiers. And so he said that the guy that was reinstalling it, because he reran wires and whatnot, had sounded that the machine had sounded funny to him. It was making noises before he plugged it in, and blah blah blah. And here we are. It takes size 2.5 Allen and a Phillips. So you'll take the 6 screws off the side here. As you can see, this is the power side. And then 4 Phillips screws on the top. The lid just pops right off. See? And so I did my basic preliminary checks. If you hear the beep, that means it's continuity. And, you know, if you're checking for fuses, this is what you want to hear. If you're checking for diodes, you don't want to hear them. If you're checking resistors, maybe you do, maybe you don't. So, what I do typically is I go through and I look for burnt components and blah, blah, blah. And I'll put my meter lead on top of the tabs of all the FETs and stuff, and I will go through pin to pin, and you'll see one or hear one that goes beep, and you'll see low resistance, and you'll see the resistance go down, and it goes back up. So what that's doing is charging the capacitor in the circuit. And I went through all these MOSFETs, and I found 0. And I'm like, all right, I can open it up. I smelt there's something burnt. So with electronics, you want to do everything. You smell, you want to hear, you want to see. And yes, you see fingerprints here of my own, but this here is not fingerprints. And I go, oh, what is that? And I look over in this general circuit, and then I'm like, huh, what is that? That is a direct short on D1 and D2, and the resistor above it, R9, it's a burnt. It's a 1000 ohm resistor. Now, where that goes appears to be either the input or the output. It's like, I don't know how the speaker goes from the radio. Because here's your speaker. So I'm guessing this is from the radio. And that's me. I can actually take and go from one side of the resistor and see if it's involved with anything. Because I'm not certain. I do want to know how it's wired up. I guess I could show you what I'm looking at. I do know it's going to IC2, which is a chip labeled C15. On down here, here the good old land of burnt electronics. You see that? I mean, it's hard to miss. It's just sunfied right there. So D1, D2 is burnt. They're shorted. R1, R9 is burnt completely. You follow this trace up here. It goes to IC2, which is labeled C15, which we know that ain't going to be a part. And then it goes to follow the same trace. It goes, I don't know if it goes to that ground. I'm going to assume that's a ground on the capacitor. And it goes to this resistor here, which goes to an opto isolator. It's got opto isolator. It's got some cruddy soldering today. That's just whatever. Anyway, we know the opto isolator is not going to cause that issue. So, I'm not sure how or what. So it's one side of the trace. You can follow the other side of the trace. It goes around town. Goes over here underneath. Goes to R43 and goes to this one, IC18. And I did notice, well, that's just shaved off. That shaved off all the little stuff. Everything over here looks fine. Now, if I go up to here on this LM7812, I do know that that is got a 84 ohm output. So that's got low ohmage. So I want to take and remove D2 and D1 from the circuitry. And across R9 is the same ohmage for these. So I know that they're reading that. I want to take this out of the circuitry and see if that improves. If it does, then I'll just replace these two diodes here and a resistor, and then hopefully hook everything back up and it'll begin to go. That is the story. And that's what I'm sticking to. As you can tell, I am not in my normal domain. I am in a hotel, and we are not in my hometown. I always keep my voltmeter with me and tools, and you can tell this is table. I don't want to scratch it, so I use my t-shirt to work on things. We'll update it when we get more information. Okay, we do have some updates. Good updates, bad updates. I have done much research tonight and looking at videos that other people have done on YouTube as businesses and whatnot. And I have found and came across a couple of things that I wanted to update you on this. And what I thought was confirmed of a, which I thought it would be kind of cool, and I'll get there in just a second. Resistors, say you have a resistor like 1,000 ohm, and when you measure that resistor and it's no longer 1,000 ohm and it's like 50 ohms or less, you get excited because you rarely ever see this as an issue. And so I actually saw that. I thought it was in the same circuit with these other resistors. I thought it was the same size, but I actually looked at it and it's not the same size. So I had actually thought I had found a shorted resistor of the components being burnt. And I actually have found one in my 24 years of working on electronics. I had one resistor that was shorted. And it's, to me, it's quite unheard of. It's you're open or you just work. But it was actually shorted. So more onto the circuitry. These two diodes are Zener diodes, and I will have the parts in the video description. They're both Zener diodes. They're 5.6 volt Zener diodes. And the resistor is measuring. Let's get you over here. And we'll get you zoomed in. I want you to be able to read the meter. Maybe it's not so much glare. There we go. And I'm going to be measuring over here. So I took and used a soldering iron and moved the components off. I kept it on one pad, that way I wouldn't lose the diode. You see there, it's 9 ohms. And that is also 12 ohms. My meter readings are junk, so I got 1.7. I go across this resistor, and we're reading, well now it shows that, but it's 53.9. So that's probably a 50 ohm resistor. And so what they're doing is, this resistor feeds directly from the 12 volt, and it's a voltage divider, steps the voltage down or whatever to these Zener diodes, and these Zener diodes are probably feeding the voltage to the rest of the circuitry. Why they went up in smoke, I'm not sure. I don't know. I measured the closest chip, which is this guy right here, pin 4, and pin 8 measures 2.89 kilo ohms. If you do this across this, it's the same. So I'm happy in that aspect. I want to say they're still connected. Good. Okay. So I'm not sure what these Zener diodes and stuff here are for. Honestly, I thought it had to do something with this, but I actually have zero clue. Let's look at these capacitor. Okay, that's fine. Just want to make sure the capacitor is not shorted. That would be kind of dumb, right? Yeah, that's good. I do know if we traced this out and then went up to the chip and went on to the ISO oscillator, and that's just an LED, and it's just gonna, you know, turn on the circuit on and off, and when the LED's on and off kind of deal. We can't look at this chip here, which all that has to do with your high and low crossover, your gain, and your bass boost, and there's a remote, which the remote is from a different chip. I can take and see this chip here. I could find its ground. Usually it's either the last pin or like pin 4. Let's see if we can get there. No, not pin 4. 1, 2, 3. No. Okay, it's making a liar out of me. We're just gonna run it down and see. Okay. So it is, it's like, I don't know, 16th pin or 17th pin. That's not it. Let's go on the next one. There we go. There's ground. I'm going to go on that, compare it to VCC. Again, we have almost 3 kilo ohms. So I am going to just basically rule this as something happened. Don't know what happened, how I got caused or anything. So I'm going to replace the 2 Zener diodes. I'm going to replace that 50 ohm resistor. I looked in the video, it's the same model number, and they have a 100 ohm resistor. So I'm going to put a 100 ohm resistor in that circuitry and see if that helps. There's no fuse in line for this circuitry, so I'm guessing that was probably it's either like a bias resistor or something. And they should have put a fuse in this circuit there if they're going to be drawing on a lot of current such as that. It's kind of weird. I don't know. It's all feeding into probably those pots, unless we got a bad pot or something. I don't know. That's awful weird. He did something to it somehow. Anyway, so I won't have a video after this showing that, hey, this works kind of thing. It's a whole process to get this checked out. I don't currently have a way to test it. All my stuff is, you know, I don't work on electronics anymore, hardly ever. So all my stuff is just kind of basically put away. I didn't have really much of an audio system. Somebody sent me something, I repaired it, sent it to them, they verified that it worked, and then they paid me. That's how it always did. There's been some cases that maybe once or twice and stuff didn't work. I came back and found more components, replaced them, and then it would have been good. So I am just going to label this video as the Sundown Audio sia-3500d repair. I think I gave you enough information to go through and check all your MOSFETs and all that information and check your, this circuit over here or something that's just not working right. Because telling me that it made a funny noise is not something I can write as a title for somebody to search. It's not really ideal. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from this and gained some experience. If you want to reach out to me, email is in the video here. You can reach out to me for questions. I don't know what the parts are. I'm not going to take them off. They're labeled H11 for proprietary. Don't know if I can get the component to even fix them. There's a lot of stuff here is proprietary, so I haven't done a lot of digging. But I can help you out at that much. That those three components that went out, I can just give you that part number. Those will be in the video description. One Zener diode costs 15 cents, and that resistor probably gonna be like a nickel. And you're gonna pay like $10 in shipping or something stupid from DigiKey. So that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.